5. Sam called down the stairs to his dad. "Can I take the car tonight?" "The convertible?" Dad rested his foot on the bottom step and looked up at Sam. "If I can, yeah. I have a date with Sherry, and I don't want her to have to ride in the truck for our first date." His eyes twinkled. "I like that girl." "Is that a yes, I can take it?" He held his breath. Dad didn't take the car out much. It was something he and his mom used to drive around with the top down when the weather was nice. "I'll leave the keys on the counter." "Thanks, Dad. I'm going to the office. Have fun tonight." "We will." He smoothed back the sides of his hair and patted on some musk cologne, and he was ready to pick up his date. Wearing a knee-skimming electric blue ruffled sundress and white flats, Sherry was ready for her date with Sam. If anyone had told her she'd be dating so soon after a breakup, she would have told them they were nuts. A light honk of a horn drifted in the open window. She glanced out, and Sam was striding up the front walk, wiping his hands on his jeans. Good. He was nervous, too. She checked her bright pink lip gloss and shut off the light. She didn't want him to have to wait too long and be drilled by her parents. She swore they still thought she was 16 instead of almost 22. She sailed into the living room with a smile for Sam and then said to her parents, "I won't be out late." Before the questions could start, Sherry had pulled open the front door and they were on their way to the car. Parked in front of the house was a sporty car. She wasn't sure what kind, but it was cherry red with the white top down, and the interior was white too. "Where's your truck?" He took her hand as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "I borrowed one of our other vehicles. Do you like it?" "It's pretty fancy." He held open the door for her, and she settled into the passenger seat. "Where are we going?" "I thought we'd have dinner. Maybe a pizza. And then if you like action and sci-fi, I thought we could see Empire Strikes Back." She had loved the first movie in the trilogy and quickly said, "Sure." He drove toward Main Street. "Is it okay if we park and walk to the pizza place and then the movies? Even though I know you're prone to blisters," he teased, and maybe he'd hold her hand again. "Sounds nice. How was work today? Were you busy?" He glanced her way. "There's always something to do this time of year, checking all the vines, pruning, and planting." "How about the machines? Do you take care of them too?" "I can turn a wrench with the best of them, but I'd rather be working in the fields or spending time with Dad as he checks on the barrels. Monitoring is key to a successful season." She watched him closely. His eyes lit up as he talked about wine. It was his passion. Sam was lucky he knew right where he belonged. "You really love the winery." Sam said, "There is nothing like it in the world. A couple of times we went on vacation to California and France to check other wineries, but to repeat a beloved phrase, there is no place like home." She teased, "You're quoting The Wizard of Oz?" He grinned. "Mom and I watched it every year. It was our favorite movie, and the line stuck." It had to have been awful losing her. She placed her hand on his arm. The heat of her hand caused his skin to tingle. "It's an adjustment, but I don't think I'll ever get over it." He eased into a parking space down the street from the pizza place. The movie theater was across the road and down a block. "Is this okay?" She beamed. "Perfect. Are you going to put the top up?" He chuckled. "With a white interior? Absolutely." Together they secured the top, and he held out his hand to her. They strolled down Main Street. It was pretty quiet. "Are many kids from high school still around?" "Bob Sawyer is, and he's talking about opening a diner. Not that he knows how to cook, but since Maggie's closed, there's been a void in town." She laughed, and he liked the sound of it, musical and carefree. "I worked for Maggie in high school, and Bob could probably get the hang of flipping pancakes and eggs if he wants to. I'm sure some of the former waitstaff is around, and maybe he could get some kitchen help." Her voice trailed off. She glanced his way and then looked at the sidewalk. "I told Mom I wanted to come back after graduation and stay with them for a while so I can look for work and then find an apartment." "I figured you'd take off for a city instead of coming home." Their clasped hands swung as they strolled. He pulled open the door of the restaurant and let her go in first. A year or so ago, I would have said there'd be no way I'd come back. But this past week I've realized I don't want to live in a city, at least not right now. He steered her to a vacant booth overlooking the sidewalk. They could watch the world go by, or not. She slid across the hard wooden bench and placed her hands on the red Formica tabletop. Besides, I like catching up with former classmates. She gave him a shy smile. Who knows what will happen after graduation, but I'm looking forward to the future. Could she mean spending time with him? She took the menu he handed her and flipped it open. Want to share a pizza? Sam found it hard to believe he was sitting across from Sherry on a date. She had just asked if he wanted to share a pizza, when what he wanted was to lean across the table and kiss her pink lip gloss off. She had this cute way of chewing on the middle of her lip that was enticing. Order whatever you like. I'll eat anything. He was happy to let her take the lead. A high school girl came over to the table. Sherry ordered a medium pizza loaded, minus the anchovies. Do you want a beer? He nodded, and she said, 2 buds. She fumbled with the paper napkin dispenser and handed him a small stack. The waitress had returned with their beers and moved to wait on an older couple who had come in after them. I can't remember the last time I was in here, but it must have been senior year. He leaned forward. Why haven't you been back much since high school? Color flushed her cheeks. I did a semester in Europe, and then I had 2 different summer internships, both with large financial firms in the Buffalo area. Dad thought it would look good on the old resume. She made a hand gesture that reminded him of taking one for the team. To be honest, I've been drifting. It was easier to go along with my parents' suggestions. And now, do you still want to follow along? With a slow shake of her head, she answered, No. What I'm going to do is see how I can make money gardening while I work in an accounting office. When I come back at the end of May, I'll see if Mr. Blake needs help on weekends. This way, I'd have the best of both worlds. Do you want me to ask Dad if we need any help? You could learn about grape cultivation. Her laugh was musical. I'll leave the vines to you. I prefer flowers and vegetables. I wasn't sure he even liked what I did. He didn't want to plant any early spring vegetables like peas or lettuce. No one would take care of them. He took a sip of his beer. It's hard for him to talk about that since it was something that meant so much to Mom. I'll bet Dad would like you to come back and take care of the gardens, if things don't work out with Mr. Blake. He could see her eyes grow larger. Was that a flicker of hope or excitement hovering there? She did a wonderful job with plant selection. I got the sense they were her pride and joy. The waitress crossed the room and set their pizza and 2 plates on the tabletop. She pointed to the jar of crushed red pepper and extra Parmesan. If you need something else, just holler. Sherry said thank you. She dished up 2 slices for each of them and gave hers a liberal dose of red pepper flakes. She gave him a sheepish grin. What can I say? I like things spicy. He chuckled and held out his hand. Me too. When Sam and Sherry came out of the movie theater, the sky was dotted with pinpricks of light. The air was warm, which was a disappointment. If it was cool, maybe Sherry would have wanted to have an arm around her to ward off the chill. She slipped her hand in his. Let's walk to the park. He wasn't in any hurry to end their night. Should he ask if he could visit her at school, or would she be too busy finishing her senior year and finals? You got awfully quiet. She bumped his arm with her body. Just thinking. About what? He looked at her sideways. All she could do was say no, so he asked. Could I come and visit you when you're back at school? Maybe we could grab dinner or something on a weekend? She gave him a slow, come-closer smile. I'd like that. But shouldn't we focus on this date? I'm totally focused on you, here with me now. However, there's no harm in planning for the future, too. They approached the park entrance, and he steered her toward a bench near the duck pond. There were several antique lampposts scattered around the park. One was close to the bench they chose. It bathed the couple in a soft, warm glow. Sam draped his arm around the back of the bench and played with an end of her silken ponytail. I've had a great time tonight. She turned toward him, her mouth formed in a pretty pink bow. He angled closer and waited. Would she turn away? She scooted closer. He inhaled the vanilla scent of her shampoo. Her eyelashes fluttered as they closed. Their lips touched, lightly at first, and then deepened. She melted against him. Sam's heart thudded in his chest and his blood warmed. He didn't want to rush her. She pulled away and looked into his eyes. Hers held a twinkle. Do you still want to come to Syracuse? He could feel a grin slide from one side of his face to the other. I thought you didn't want to talk about the future, but enjoy tonight. Let me say that I suddenly find the value in doing a little planning ahead. She teased his mouth with hers. Unless you've changed your mind. His eyes lingered on her lips and then locked on her eyes. Is Monday too soon? Her laugh was playful. How about Friday? I need to get through my classes since finals are in a few weeks. He pretended to groan. 6 days? She placed a hand over his heart and kissed his lips. I have a feeling you're not a patient guy. For you, I'll work on it. They watched the moonlight shimmer off the surface of the water for a while, and then he lowered his mouth to hers. This has been an almost ideal night. Sam tilted her face up with his fingertips. His voice was soft as he asked, What do I need to do to make it perfect? If you kissed me again. Well then.